Assassin's Creed Valhalla has found many unique ways to balance the newer RPG-like mechanics of the newer Assassin's Creed games and also implement some of the older mechanics from games that a lot of the old school fans of the series will enjoy and appreciate. And today I want to look at 5 really cool details that every Assassin's Creed fan can appreciate in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So remember, before we start today's video, if you do enjoy, to leave it a nice, thick, and juicy like as always. And of course, if you enjoy content like this, as well as my other content on Cyberpunk 2077, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Ghost of Tsushima Legends, and Battlefield, then make sure you hit that big red sexy subscribe button right underneath the video. I also have to shout out my channel members. You guys help make these kinds of videos possible, so thank you very much. If you want to join, there is a link in the description down below. So the first detail we have to go over is one that has been kind of, I guess you could say, wrong in every game where you don't start as someone who's already an assassin. Talking about Assassin's Creed Black Flag, Assassin's Creed 3, Assassin's Creed Unity, this little detail just always showed up, or I should say the lack of this detail always showed up. And that's basically doing a leap of faith before you know what it is, before you're an assassin, before any of that stuff. So you shouldn't really be doing it, but you could suspend your disbelief enough simply because the game was just built with that kind of thing. They're not going to really go out of their way to create an entirely different jumping mechanic when they could just use this. And you'd be like, I can get past that. It wasn't a game-breaking thing, but Valhalla's team has gone the distance and basically made it to where before Eivor learns what a leap of faith is, she or he, whatever you chose, will not do the actual leap of faith. You do this foot first kind of dive into the water or hay bale or whatever it may be at that point in time. You don't do any kind of leap of faith. And I thought that was a really awesome little detail. I mean, it places more importance on how much the Hidden Ones value that simple act. They set aside an entire mission simply for that purpose, just to be able to build up the importance of that specific thing. And again, as just someone who has played all the games and been with the franchise for a long time, it's just a minor detail that I really appreciate. I'm sure it was a good amount of work to create an entirely different jumping animation for something that you would really only do in the first section of the game. So I thought that was really cool. As a fan, I really appreciate that. It's the one game that fixed that kind of thing. So thank you to the developers at Ubisoft Montreal or whoever did it. You guys are pretty awesome. The second detail I want to go over is advanced movement. Now, there's nothing crazy in this game. There's definitely some unique things you can do, like the sprint button is back, which means you can have a little bit more control over your parkour. You can also do things like jump up on your horse. Like if you just hit B when you're riding your horse, Eivor will kind of crouch up on top and you can use it to leap up onto something in order to start parkouring across, say, a building or something. Or you can use it even in combat to be able to just leap off and attack someone from the air. There's a lot of different ways you can use it, and I think that offers a lot in the way of gameplay options and ways to approach certain areas. It looks really cool when you do it, no matter what you're using it for. It's just a really nice detail. This, along with the back ejects returning, I can't praise how much back ejects returning is nice. It's very limited and there's not a ton of places you can do them, but the fact that you can do them is really cool. And it, like I said, it's not like Unity or some of the older games where you have that more advanced parkour. You have a ton of control over what you're doing. It's definitely still pretty limited, but it's far better than what Odyssey and what Origins offered in that regard. Number 3, this one's kind of a meme. This is just the fact that COVID was mentioned, so just like AC3, the real world apocalypse of the Mayan calendar is being involved. This time it's our real world apocalypse that we're all sitting at home for. So I thought that was a kind of cool detail that they implemented and just kind of a parallel I drew. Obviously, it's not a serious part of the game, at least at the point I'm at. I don't know if it actually becomes a part of it, but I thought this one was kind of funny and a cool little detail that was somewhat of a drawback to the series. Of course, it does feel like the end of the world going through 2020, so they aren't totally wrong. Number 4, we can all appreciate this one. Sean Hastings being Sean Hastings. Yes, the man, the myth, the legend, he has returned, and it's not in a tiny role in a few cutscenes like in Syndicate, but him and Rebecca Crane are back in a huge way, and they're actually done really, really well as they offer their expertise to Layla as she tries to get through some of these events, and honestly, they're the perfect group to do it. Their experience with Desmond will obviously equip them to help them along the way, and I just gotta say, the way Sean interacts with Desmond in some of the day database messages and the way that him and Rebecca interact with Desmond, some of the database messages, you can just feel the emotions within the game. You can feel how far Ubisoft wanted to go in order to build that up, in order to draw those parallels between these two people who are in a very similar situation in terms of what they're going to need to do and what they're going to need to rely on in order to achieve their goal of saving the world. So I thought that was really cool. And then of course Sean's database entries, I mean, they're perfect. I love the one where he talks about wanting to relive his grandfather's memories so he could kick some Nazi bollocks. That one was hilarious, probably one of the funnier ones that I've read. And it's just nice to be able to read things like that again. That was just another unique part of Assassin's Creed that I think everyone who played the older games absolutely loves. And lastly, but not least, codex pages are back. Now, they aren't exactly like they were in a game like Assassin's Creed 2. Still kind of a similar idea. They work a little bit more like the Assassin Tombs did in AC2, more so than like the Da Vinci Codex pages did. But still, it's really cool just to have them back. I think it's a really awesome part of the series, and it adds a ton of mystery. And it just does that one thing that I've always talked about that Assassin's Creed, at least the good games, manage to do, is they take the time period you're in, which is ancient to the player most of the time. I mean, I don't know how many of you were born in 872 AD, but if you have been, let me know. I'd love to talk to you about that. It takes the player, it makes the setting feel old, and then it takes some of the things in the open world and it makes the world feel ancient to the actual character in the game. And it's like this weird inception of history, and it's just one of the cooler parts of the series and something that things like the codex pages do really, really well. And that's another reason why I'm so happy they're in this game. It's a reason that I love them in Assassin's Creed 2. It's just a fascinating part of the series. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. This was 5 awesome details every Assassin's Creed fan can and will appreciate in AC Valhalla. If you have any other details, let me know down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.